All right, we are rocking right now. Welcome to KBMR Studios for installment number 2 of the podcast. I'm Mike
Yes, sir.
Risi alongside Kevin Bailey. Before we get started today, I just wanted to take a minute to hold a short moment of silence for the family of musician Chris Daughtry. Those who may or may not have heard yet, recently they were on a tour with Seven Dust, and midway through this tour, they got the news that Chris Daughtry's stepdaughter was found dead at the young age of 25. Thoughts and condolences go out to him and his family. It's extremely tragic. Don't know the exact circumstances. I'm not going to sit here and speculate, but the consistent part is unfortunately she has left us, and we want to just respect his family and their privacy at this time. So thank you. So on today's edition of KBMR Studios, we're going to be talking about the late '90s to early 2000s hockey when it was considered by many to be some of the most explosive stuff on TV. And it was actually acknowledged by ESPN at the time before they, started broadcasting these basketball players who had to get carried off because of foot cramps. Meanwhile, you got hockey players who break their legs and skate off the ice on their own power, which is actually, good to see that they brought back on ESPN Plus. They're actually airing hockey again, so that's good. But enough of that. So tell me, Kev, what was some of your favorite stuff in the early '90s or late '90s, early 2000s hockey?
I was gonna say, first off, if you've never watched the documentary of 100 Years of Hockey, I mean, there's guys who have literally gotten like their legs sliced open from a skate, and then went literally like bleeding everywhere, going back out there shift after shift, and don't even realize that they're like gushing blood everywhere. Meanwhile, in all these other sports, a guy's thumb hurts and he's out for 2 weeks. But enough of that.
Yeah,
No,
turf
I mean,
toe.
yeah, turf toe. No, no, I feel that first off, I feel like the 90s and early 2000s really brought hockey to what it is today. There was just a lot of great players. Obviously, we're going to talk about today. I'm sure you have a list of some. I have a list of some too. But just to think about, how you saw these guys growing up as a kid. Like I remember, Eric Lindros being a
Yep.
Flyers fan, and everyone was like, hey, this guy is the next big thing. He's one of the greatest. I'm still shocked today that the guy didn't win a Stanley Cup, but that's a whole nother story. I had the guy's rookie poster in my room. I went to his jersey retirement. He really made hockey something different. It wasn't just him. There was a bunch of other players. I'm sure you talk about Brodeur,
Yep.
coming into the league in the 90s. And, I don't think that people today or people who grew up, watching hockey before the 90s and early 2000s understand like what it means to be a fan during that time. I also think it was one of the times too where hockey was just played at a very fast pace. It was something that, there's a lot of rules now that obviously protect players, and that's all good fun and games. But I also feel like there was a lot of rivalries. There was a lot of great Stanley Cup champions that came from the 90s and early 2000s and things like that. But that's definitely something that a lot of people keep forgetting though, is it just brought hockey to like this next level. What are some players though that you want to? I know you got a couple in mind there. If you want to continue to go about 90s players or things like that, another Flyer, he was with them for I think a year or 2 years, was Yager, Yame
Yep.
Yager. Um, you know what's crazy? He even wore, they called him like junior skates because he didn't
Junior
like,
skates.
yeah, he didn't like the NHL skate. So a lot of players had these issues with feet, right? Like perfect example, Peter Forsberg, another 90s player. He
Hmm.
had issues all the time with like his feet and trying to wear skates and surgery after surgery. But yeah, Yager wore these like junior skates or something like that. If you look at some of his highlight wheels, he's wearing like these black like skates or something like that, and they used to bust his chops because they weren't like actual skates or something. I don't know, it was weird.
Interesting. Yeah, that's Yeah, the '90s overall, like that time period, I feel like really like you go back and watch it, like I feel like they're moving up and down the ice like a lot faster than today. Like today almost feels like not exactly slow motion, but when you see guys like speeding down the ice, it's like you don't. I feel like it's like nine times out of ten, it's like, oh, is he going to be offsides? Is he not going to be offsides? But like then it was like such guys just like skating right through the neutral zone, like it's nothing. Like I couldn't even keep my balance. There's no way I'd be able to move like anywhere near as fast as these guys. I mean, but
Gladiators on ice.
yeah, it's just amazing to see how it's evolved. Like, we're talking about the like the turn of the millennium. Guys like Jerome McGinley, you alluded to Yager. He was moving around to a couple teams. Um, Patrick Eliash, of course, Devil. I think he's like due to be inducted into the Hall of Fame soon. I know they had to put that on pause because of the pandemic, but he was another fun guy to watch. I don't know if you remember Paul Correa from Anaheim, the Mighty
Yeah,
Ducks.
yeah.
Yeah,
Kind of like Chris Progner too.
yeah. The thing about Korea, and like I respect him for it. I mean, the one moment, of course, that probably gonna speak for a lot of people when I say like that I most remember him for. I hated it because it happened against the Devils in the Cup final, but it was just amazing to watch like the story of hockey, like how these guys have like all this endurance. Like it was Game 6 of the 2003 Stanley Cup Finals, Mighty Ducks against the Devils. Um, Scott Stevens, people didn't know like you never cut across the middle of the ice when Scott Stevens is there. Hits him square in the chest. It was a clean hit, but they might have called a penalty anyway. Paul Correa goes down. You probably remember this. Like he's like not breathing, and then all of a sudden he gasps. He like has this like gasp of air, and you see like his mask start to fog up. So like, okay, good, he's alive. Leaves the ice. Eventually, he comes back on the ice. He picks up like a turnover, and then he does like this rocket slap shot. By the time Brodeur saw it, it was already in the back of the net. Like the famous call from Gary Thorne, off the floor, on the board, Paul Correa. It was just like one of those like highlight reel plays that'll live on forever.
Yo, weren't you talking a while back? I could have swore you mentioned this name from players in the '90s, and obviously we'll talk about a lot more. But does Nicholas Lidstrom sound familiar to you?
He played for Detroit, I think.
Yeah, he won 4 cups. He was a what is it, defenseman with the Detroit Red Wings.
Yeah, he was with them for quite some time. I remember there's also this period from the also turn of the millennium where that like there were three like these three or four big teams, Detroit, the New Jersey Devils, the Dallas Stars, and the Colorado Avalanche. Like I think
Hmm.
from like '96 or like '97, like that streak of period, like those are the only teams that won it, and it really
The
felt like
Oilers won in '90 too. Wasn't that with Gretzky?
that might have been
Gretzky, yeah, his
yeah
last. Yeah,
yeah because I think that was after or it might have been the late '80s. I think that was after the Islanders won their four straight, and then
yeah.
they almost got the fifth, but the Oilers were victorious there. But yeah, it felt like the real good like big fight feel because it's like you each year like there was like a 2 3 year streak where each time the Stanley Cup was contested by the defending champion. So like Dallas Stars they won it in 99, and if you might remember that was the controversial finish where this I think this Dallas Star player he was like in the crease before they had like the crease rules. Like nowadays it's like you can be in the crease, you just can't impede the goalie's ability to make a save. But then you couldn't be in the crease at all, or like
At
the goal would
all.
be no good.
Yeah.
I think the toe of his skate was in the crease when he played the Buffalo Sabres, and I don't know if they didn't pursue it or they just didn't call it back, but otherwise they walked out with the cup. And then the next year Dallas, the defending champions, they played against the Devils in the final, which I'm always happy about because we won, and we could say the Devils were the first Cup champions of the new millennium. And then the following year, after that, the Devils played against the Avalanche, and that was a lot of people call it the ultimate goalie matchup, Brodeur versus Patrick Waugh. But the bigger story there was Raymond Bourque, who waited like 22 years to finally hoist the cup. And it sucks for obviously I'm bummed the Devils lost that one, but to see Ray Bourque like it was right when Gary Bettman's like, Joe Sakic, who was the captain of Colorado at the time. Obviously, you hand the cup to the captain first, but Joe Sakic's like, no. He held as he was holding the cup, he handed it right to Ray Bork, and the fans just went absolutely nuts. And then I actually almost got choked up watching like Ray Bork's kids like crying in the stands, like they were just so happy for their dad.
Yeah, I was gonna say, going back to like the Red Wings, they had their little run there too. They had
Yep.
Sergio Federer. It was him, Hal, Lindstrom. It was
Yep.
that whole lineup was just like stacked for the Detroit Red. That was like a powerhouse
I know.
of hockey right there. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
good.
No, I was saying like every like I feel like each team has always had like that powerhouse group. I don't Ours is like long gone. We're slowly rebuilding. Like we had the guys like Stevens, Danico, Niedermeyer, Brian Gianta, Patrick Eliash, Brodeur, I think John McClain, John Madden, Scott Gomez, Mike Rupp, he was actually he scored 2 goals, and Brodeur. Oh, yeah, I mentioned him, but like it was like that was like the greatest like Devil squad of all time, and now it's like where the hell did these guys go? The Red
Yeah.
Wings, I feel like they've had pretty consistent guys like over the years, like Pavel Datsyuk, Daniel Alfredson. Like that was a pretty good lineup, and even Tampa Bay, in 2004, they had guys like Ruslan Fedotenko, and John Tortorella was actually the coach of that team in 2004 Stanley Cup Tampa Bay Lightning.
Also too, the Legion of Doom on the Flyers. That was one of my biggest. They were like the only, what was it? Lindros, John LeClaire, and I think I forget who the third one was. They were the only three. Well, so first off, the reason why they were called the Legion of Doom is because with all three guys on the ice, they were the tallest player. Like the shortest player was 6'3". Like
Wow, it's
Lindros already was 6'7". That's why when he was drafted, they called him the next big thing. So there was that, and then they were the only three players within like a 3 or 4 year span
mhm.
to score 120 plus goals and like the most assists in all those games. That's why they got that nickname.
Yeah, wasn't there another team that had like the crash line? I don't know about you. I'm on Wikipedia right now, just looking at some
Yeah,
stuff.
I know. I wanna see what do you call it? What the who all the members were. It was no wait, this isn't it. Here we go. I think I got it here.
And don't mind us, people. We're looking up stuff as we go. Oh no, the crash line was the Devils. I'll talk about that after.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, this is
But
about the Flyers right now. Bastards.
um, let's see. It was Rinnenberg, Leclaire, and Lindros. They were the three, the Legion of Doom.
Yeah, I feel like Lindros has always been that constant. He was a defenseman for the Flyers, right?
Oh, Lindros? No, he was a center. He was drafted right out of the Canadian Junior League. He played not even like a year there, which I don't understand too. Right now, I don't understand how guys like they're right out of high school, they go play like not even a year of juniors, and then they're already in the NHL.
Yeah, and I feel like the common trend that you see with yeah, like hockey players when they get drafted, they don't go right into the league. Like they'll go into the minors or something for a couple of years. Whereas in like football and basketball, as you know, they go right onto the field, right onto the court. But like I feel like hockey, they take the similar approach to baseball. They usually they have them in like the farm system for a couple of years.
No.
Yeah, so it's
Warm ups with hockey are always fun to watch because it's fast. It's not something that's slow.
yeah, you just see them like going around the ice, doing some stretches, and then they like topple over like the mountain of pucks.
Yeah,
That's,
yeah,
that's
it's
always
always
fun.
always fun to see. No, I was also going to talk about too all the people who won a Stanley Cup. I think it was the Oilers in '90. 91, I think was I want to say Detroit. No,
Let's see, list of Stanley Cup winners.
I want to, and then I know the Avalanche won in '96.
Yeah, that's right. They
Um,
swept the Florida Panthers.
right, and then you also had the Rangers in '94, and that was the year that the Devils lost in the conference finals. That
Fucking
was
goddamn Mark Messier. He's like, oh, we're gonna win games. We're gonna win game six. Then we're gonna bring it back home to the Garden, win game seven, and he did. I give him kudos to that. I think they ended up going on to beat Vancouver in 7 games
right.
during that time. But that was the big thing that I always take pride in is among the Devils is that they won the cup in the Garden, and then the following year when the Devils won it, we took the cup from the Garden and brought it to the Garden State. And since then, the Rangers have not touched Stanley Cup silver, and I'm more than okay with that.
Listen,
Oh shit, we're playing the Rangers right now. What the hell's going on? Fuck, they scored.
what's the score of that?
3-2.
Damn.
But there's still like 13 minutes left in the quarter. Yeah. No, yesterday. Nowadays, the guy who gets on my nerves is friggin' from the Bruins, Brad Marchand. Can't freaking stand him. He's a good player, but he just knows how to get under your skin.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing that I kind of miss about those '90s and early 2000s were the rivals. Like, I know Flyers Rangers were always a big rivalry.
They still
Um,
are.
still are. I mean, it's
Flyers,
not
Penguins.
Flyers Penguins is a huge one. I mean, I think that got more intense as the years went on, which is cool. But I also feel like some of the rivals stopped because I feel like these teams don't have the players that everyone grew up watching. Like, I'll give you an example to get off track, right?
Hmm.
Yankees, Red Sox. Everyone's
Of
like,
course.
oh, okay. You gotta go to Fenway to see the Sox play, the Yankees, whatever, this, that, and the other. But like back then, I felt like in the '90s and early 2000s, when you had these like big players playing, people are like, oh shit, that's the the game I want to go see. That's the game that people are going to pay top dollar to. And I not to take anything away from baseball, but I also feel like baseball has lost its whole like rivalry thing.
Yeah, because
Hockey,
it's
hockey. Good.
yeah, because it's like you were saying about those superstar players. Like for instance, Rangers Devils. It was all about Brodeur versus Lundqvist. But now that both those guys are retired, it's like we're playing. We got young guys that were trying to like they're kind of being pushed into like this intense rivalry, but it doesn't have that same feel because it's like they're not superstars yet.
Right.
It's like we need to get like superstars going at it. Like another good rivalry in the 90s was the Red Wings Avalanche. I don't know if you've ever had a chance you have to watch the Avs Red Wings brawl. It was actually Chris Osgood, the goalie from the Red Wings at the time. He actually fought Patrick Waugh. Like they came down from opposite sides of the ice and they just like went at it.
What do you call it? I think Brodeur did that once, and Hextall in the '80s. I forget who they were playing, but something happened, and he just ran down to the other end of the ice, and they started going at it.
Yeah, and then I think Waugh also got into it with another Red Wings goalie, Mike Vernon.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm looking at that list of winners so far. So from 95 to 2003, it goes Devils, Avalanche, Red Wings, Dallas Stars, Devils, Avalanche, Red Wings, Devils. And then when Tampa Bay won in '04, it broke that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, that 9-year cycle of those three teams sharing the Stanley Cup.
Right.
Because and I,
And
and I
then
feel like we see that today too when it was like in the early 2010s, you had the Penguins, the Blackhawks, the Kings, Blackhawks, Kings,
no.
then Penguins win two back to back, and then it's good to see like new teams, like newer teams, like jump into the fold, like the Washington Capitals. I was happy for them. St. Louis, Tampa Bay. I think they kind of deserve to like win back to back because like 2021 was like the win that they didn't get to, have with the
Celebrate.
fans the year
Yeah.
prior.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
I always look back on the one from 2020 with the Tampa Bay Dallas series. Dallas had a freaking stacked lineup, dude. They had, I think Ben Bishop was there, Jamie Benn, Tyler Sagan, Matt Zuccarello was on that squad. Remember Matt Zuccarello from the Rangers?
Hmm.
Corey Perry, a longtime Anaheim Duck. Like they had a freaking stacked group of guys there.
Um, I remember a lot of old school Flyers playing. Like I know in '97 we faced the Red Wings, but we I was Lindros. But which by the way, you know who was the GM that year?
Of the Flyers.
Bobby Clark. He was the one who traded
Mm.
Lindros that year. Let's see. I'm gonna get a if I could get a here you go. John LeClaire, Eric Lindros, big one. You had Renberg, so there's the Legion of Doom right there. I'm just going down the line here, see if I could find any standout players.
Oh, Henrik Zetterberg. I forgot about him. He was also another, big name Red Wing.
Ron Hextall was on that team too in '97, which he eventually became our GM, and then they gave him the boo. And I'm sure people don't know want to know why he got the boo is because he was getting rid of a lot of like farm system players
Hmm.
or yeah, and making trades to get more farm system players, and it just wasn't making sense. It was just a constant like back and forth. It would like he was never making the actual roster, and when they always asked him like, "Hey, what are you doing?" His excuse back was, "Oh, well, we're doing this because we want the future to be bright." It's like, really, the future, which I get. That's all about like development, and you definitely want to make sure that you have a good lineup for years to come. But it's not baseball. Like we're not on a
Right.
20 year program here. Where I'm trying to figure out if this guy is gonna work out. Like there was a lot of stars that the Flyers had in the farm system that finally they're bringing up and they're working out fantastic. But at the same time, like why would you wait 20 years?
Yeah, and there's so many guys like, one thing that always frustrates me with hockey is like there's people who you have on your team, they don't really do so great, and then they go to another team and they do like amazing.
Yeah.
Like fucking Blake Coleman, he was on the Devils for a couple years. He leaves and he wins 2 cups with Tampa. Like, are you shitting me?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so annoying.
Well, that's like remember when they got rid of Mike Richards and Jeff Carter,
Yeah, oh yeah,
and then and then LA wins a cup. Like, come on,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah. LA had that, it's those two that when they won against us and the Rangers, they had a lot of good guys. Yeah, Jeff Carter, Mike Richards, Dustin Brown, Dwight King, Anjay Kopitar, the only Slovenian player in the NHL, just one. Who else is on that group? Oh, Drew Doughty, man,
No, yeah,
he's not one to be messed with.
no, that's for
Uh,
sure.
Jonathan Quick,
You got to
amazing
give it
goal.
to him.
Yeah,
That,
they,
that
that
that's what Stanley Cups come down to is goaltending.
yeah, and he outplayed Brodeur. I'll tip my hat to him. He was just that damn good.
Yeah, I feel so. Two things: winning a cup or winning multiple cups. Obviously, you have to have players, but the two biggest things are defense and a goalie. I mean, you could say
Hmm.
that about any sport, especially football. Like, hey, great football teams win by defense, which I'm not lying there. But if you don't have a stacked goalie and defenseman to protect him or be around him, that's what's going to happen. You're not going to win, but if you do have it, you're going to win.
They always say defense wins championships, and honestly, it couldn't be any truer in this sport.
Yeah. Listen, my old school Flyers growing up were John LeClaire, Recchi joined the team later, but he was a Penguin from the '90s. I think he was like 12th all time in goals or assists or something like that. Eric Desjardins, Keith Primo, like this is going into like the early 2000s. Who else? Well, Progner came in late. He was with them that year. They went to the Stanley Cup, and then obviously the next year they got busted out in the first round after having like the best NHL record.
Hmm.
So, well, do you know why they traded Richards and Carter, right? it wasn't. So apparently there was rumors, which they were caught multiple times after games, like going clubbing and stuff like that, and they were like,
Right.
"Hey, why are you going to do that? You know, when we just lost and things like that." So it was just a repetitive thing. So finally, management was like, "Hey, you're done. Goodbye."
Yeah, I mean, you bust them for partying, and then you're gonna send them to Hollywood, like the ultimate place of partying, and look what
Yeah,
happens. They got two cups to show for it.
yeah. Rick
Yeah.
Tocchet was another one, but we all know what happened to that. He was an assistant with the Flyers, and then that year when the Flyers and the Penguins had like a rivalry going on in the playoffs for like 2 3 years, um, he went to the Penguins and then won a Stanley Cup with them. It was just like Craig Brewery and the St. Louis Blues. Like, we don't want him. And then, the Blues had this like horrible beginning of the season. And then look what happened. They won the fucking Stanley Cup, man.
Yeah, I think in like January or something, they were in last place in the league, and then they battled back to
Hmm.
take it from Boston in 7 games. And actually, back to that point about, oh, we don't want this guy, but send him away, and he goes on to win. That reminds me, there was another name on the 2014 LA Kings that I forgot to mention, and you remember him because he was on the Rangers and he pestered both of our teams. Remember Marion Gaborik,
Yeah. Hmm.
and he won with them. Yeah,
Yeah.
him. I remember seeing him and other guys embracing the ice, like Alec Martinez, who got the game winner the against the Rangers in that Cup final, and then fucking Rick Nash, the big bad Rick Nash. He didn't do shit in that whole final series, like not a single point.
I remember when he was a Ranger,
He was
Nash.
frustrating guy to play against, but he
Or
was
or
good.
uh or as we used to call the Rangers farm system, how all
Yeah,
the
it's
Tampa Bay
Tampa's.
players.
Yeah, Ryan Callahan, JT Miller,
uh
Anton Strawman,
Saint Pierre, Peter Saint Pierre. I'm
Martin
sure
St.
I'm saying Martin
Martin
Saint Pierre there.
Martin St. Louis,
Yeah, Saint
St.
Louis.
Pierre.
Saint Pierre. But
Like
what
who the
was
hell's
that, like six players though that went there?
a
Some
lot of
trash.
guys. I think did Dan Girardi go there? Yeah, let me see this right now. Let me look at the
Yeah, this is because I'm telling, like, I don't know what was going on, or if like some funny business was going on between the Lightning and the Rangers, but they just had like a million trades going on.
they had a lot of people. Like yeah, Tampa had a lot of good people. Like remember in goaltender before Vasilevsky, remember Ben Bishop?
Hmm.
Yeah, they had a lot of let's see, Ryan Callahan, Anton Strawman, uh Brian Boyle was another one. Uh I know JT Miller. Um yeah, freaking all the Tampa Bay, like they got stacked. Like Kucherov, Stamkos, Tyler Johnson, um, Alex Killorn. Who's the guy that just went to the Kraken? Yanni Gord, is that his name? Yanni Gord.
Yeah,
Yeah, they had freaking stacked guys. Did Ryan Callahan win with them? Let me see. No, this is gonna bug me now. I don't think he did. Damn. No, he was not part of that Stanley Cup winning squad. I think Callahan retired because of a medical condition.
yeah.
Damn, dude. That could have been him, man. It sucks.
Hmm. Well, what do you call it? We had what was his name? We had a defenseman for a while, a very long time. I forget his name. It's gonna come to me later, but they traded him to the Blackhawks, and then that year the Blackhawks won. Not Peter Forsberg. What was his name?
It wasn't the year that they played you guys in the Cup final, was it?
No, no, no. This was in what when they won. I think in 15,
Let me look that up
2015,
right now. Let me see.
like 2015.
2015. Uh, Brad Richards? No, was that him?
No,
Uh,
it was a defenseman.
defenseman. Let's see.
Oh, it was Chemo Timonen. There you go.
Team in it. Yep, that's
Yeah.
yep. I remember.
Yep.
Oh, Trevor Van Riemsdyk. Didn't you guys have him at one point? Oh no, that was James Van Riemsdyk. You guys
Yeah,
had at one point.
James. So we still do now, but so at the end of his contract, his first year with or first seasons with the Flyers, right? He was in the process of redoing his contract, but the Flyers didn't want to sign him, so he signed and played with the Toronto Maple Leafs for like 5 6 years, and then the Flyers re-signed him again, like he came back.
Wow, it's
Dude, that roster was stacked. Corey Crawford,
Patrick Kane, Jonathan
Patrick
Taves,
Kane,
Patrick
Tays, yeah,
Patrick Sharp, Marion Hossa,
Ryan
Brandon.
Hartman.
It's so crazy. Like seeing these teams in the playoffs, like they say their names all the time, like you recognize them. Fucking Johnny Oduya, a former Devil, you cocksucker.
Yeah.
No, if you're listening to that, Johnny Oduya, I don't mean that personally. It's just I'm pissed that you know it couldn't you couldn't be on our team winning a Stanley Cup, but you're on Blackhawks. I,
Mm-hmm.
I love you, Brent
Well,
Seabrook.
wait. There was that time too where the Devils had a stack lineup, and then after you guys lost in the Stanley Cup, what was it in
2012.
2012, right? You
Yeah,
guys got rid of
Kovalchuk left us high. Well, no,
high
Kovalchuk
and dry.
left us the year after high and dry. Zach Parise left us high and dry.
Well, he
You
went
know
to
what? Oh,
Minnesota.
he went to Minnesota. Get this now. Zach Parise plays on the fucking Islanders. But you want to go back so far to Minnesota to play with your buddy Ryan Suter. But
Right.
now you're gonna come to the Islanders if you fucking left us high and dry?
Well, he did. He
No.
did that for money. He did that for money when he left to go play with Minnesota because
Yeah.
he's like, oh well, the Devils aren't going to give me what I want, so I'm just going to leave.
Yeah, and that's why we boo him every time he touches the puck. And you know
Yeah,
what? The Devils beat the Islanders the other night 4-0, and guess who was on the ice? Zach
yeah.
Parise.
Zach Parise.
And you know what? But he did get cheered when he went in the penalty box.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. Then who else? We had other good guys on the team. Pretty decent. Remember Ryan Carter?
Yeah,
He's like that
Ryan Carter.
scrappy kind of guy. Steven Gianta was there.
Who was the other defenseman though? On because you guys had the number one ranked power play that year, and you were the second seed in 2000. Oh wait, no, I'm thinking 2010. 2010, you guys had just a stacked lineup, and then the Flyers beat you. It was a what was it, 4 game sweep or 4-1 or something like
I
that in
think it was
2000.
4-1. Let me see
Yeah,
the let me look what we had. Let me look at a roster from there. It's crazy. There's so many. Um, was it wasn't Rob Niedermeyer? I remember we had Zajac early on. He was like
yeah.
I think those were like some of his prime like years. Bryce Salvador maybe. Paul, I don't know if he's.
Yeah, and then the 2012 roster, you guys lost a couple players, and then but you still
Yeah,
went. And then what? You lost that series what, 4 to
four to
2?
two.
Yeah, 4-2 against the
Yeah,
Kings.
we had guys like David Clarkson, who I thought was kind of like that like gritty kind of player. Like he wasn't maybe not like a superstar goal scorer, but like he brought like that grit. Like if somebody fucked with his teammate, like he'd step in and like beat the shit out of him if he had to.
Hmm.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, we were. Yeah, that year when you guys beat us in the playoffs, we won the division, but you guys beat us in the first round 4-1.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy too? That they just had like a horrible season that year, and then they just got on fire. Like we came back, we beat Boston. But Boston was up 3 games to nothing, and
Hmm.
that was the quarterfinals, or no, semis. That was the semifinals. That we were up, or no, they were up 3 games to nothing, and then the final game, Game 7, which was in Boston, um, uh, Simone Gagne. I think it was either Simone Gagne or Danny Briere who got the final goal in OT, and then we played Montreal in the Eastern Conference Finals, and we beat them 4-1, and then we lost to the Blackhawks. What is it? 4-2 in Philly, and
Yeah,
that was in overtime too.
that was the game where the winning shot, I think Patrick Kane scored that, like the puck like disappeared and everyone's like, where did the puck go?
Yeah, it got caught in the side of the net, like right past the line to the right, and like the refs didn't even like blow the whistle or anything. Like if you go and you watch that final moment, the whole audience is just like, wait, what just happened? Like you don't even see anything.
Yeah, guys like whacking around trying to get the puck. Like, wait a minute. And then you see Patrick Kane running down the ice cheering, and everyone's like, what's going on? Like, it
Right.
didn't even set in. I mean, that sucks. Like, I don't think we, like, I think the only solace I had in, I think that's the word solace or, relief I had, like, when the Devils lost to the Kings is that it wasn't on home ice. I think that's got to be one of the most deflating feelings ever. Like
It's
imagine
hard,
the Vegas Golden Knights, their first season. Whoever would have thought they would have went all the way to the finals? But Alex
especially
Ovechkin.
especially when you pay the NHL $500 million. But that's a whole no. I'm just
Yeah, and I predicted that and I'll show you one of the next times, or I don't know if I've showed you yet, but like I predicted during when the league realigned and everything that the two cities that would get hockey teams, one would be Vegas and the other would be Seattle because Seattle was booming.
no, dude. I just saw it again now, and even the refs. I sorry, I had to watch that. Even the refs don't even know where the puck went. When I think it was Kane, right? Kane who scored the final goal.
Yep, that was Patrick Kane. It was just I think he sent it and it went like it slipped past him. Everyone's like, where'd it go? But yeah, like you just see like everyone else is like trying to chase the puck, but then Patrick Kane runs down the ice and is like jumping up and down. It's
Look at this. Not one person, I show you this, not one person, if you watch this, knows what happened in this clip. Not one single person but the Blackhawks, even the TV people, don't even know what happened. Look, no, there's not one single person in that whole entire that knew that that puck went in.
yeah, even Doc Emmerich looked confused for a minute. He's like, they won. Like he's like uncertain about it.
Yeah. By the way, shout out to Doc Emmerich. He had his last year had to be a COVID year.
I know.
Which just sucks because so I don't know if you had this feeling growing up, especially as a little kid, like 90s, early 2000s, and then obviously now, but that feeling of like, hey, my team, like just making it to the playoffs, that's all you wanted to do and watch. Like it didn't matter where you were, it didn't matter who you were hanging out with. It was, hey, it's playoff time. People had their playoff beards. Don't bother me. I mean, I remember wearing my Flyers hat everywhere I went when they were in the playoffs. Everyone's like, "Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't know you were a Flyers fan." It's like, well, dude, it's playoff hockey. Like, this is what's gonna happen.
yeah. Like when I was like a couple years ago when the Devils like finally returned to the playoffs, I was like rocking that all the time, like posting things on social media, like yay Devils win. Like I was like really getting into the spirit of it because I'm always watching these commercials of like highlight reel guys. I'm like, I want to see the Devils like in that position too. And they're slowly rebuilding. They've haven't been the same since 2012. And they made the playoffs only one time since then. And but I feel like it's gonna get to that point, and I'll still rock them. I'll still rock their shit. Like even the Giants, as shitty as they are, like on the gridiron, like I'll still rock their stuff. But but I agree with you, dude. That feeling of like, this is why like I get up for like these days, like to see these games played. And actually I had a Doc Emmerich moment a little bit before this today's episode because I took my dog outside. She had to take a shit, wrapped up the bag, and like I was gonna throw it towards like the back door. In the words of Doc Emmerich, I threw it with a little too much mustard. It landed on top of the awning part, so I had to get like the pool skimmer pole and like fish it down. Too much too much mustard.
Oh man. Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
who's it now? They have Kenny Albert, I think, doing it with NBC for the Stanley Cup. I'm not 100% sure.
That's
As long as it's not Joe Buck and
oh you're
Troy
not
Aikman,
you're
that's
not gonna
all.
you're
Yeah,
not gonna catch
yeah.
them doing a hockey game. There, but you gotta if you ever get a chance, you gotta see the I think it's a game between St. Louis and the Kings. And Joe Buck actually is like, all right, I'll call a little bit of hockey. He's like the guy wearing number 5 from the Kings, but then he slowly picks up and he's like, okay, like he's calling out player names and everything. And then he's like, okay, the announcer that says, hey, you're chilling here and the St. Louis Blues start to score a couple goals, gain momentum, you'll stay. But if the Kings keep scoring, then you got to leave. And he's like, all right, no problem. And then, of course, lo and behold, the Kings score. He's like, all right, see you later. But I mean, even though I don't think he's that great as far as like calling certain things, it's like, if he showed like more like, get more amped up, more emotion like that, like it would be a different story. But hearing him calling hockey, it's a little interesting, I will say.
Yeah, no, like I'll give you a perfect example. I know he hates the Eagles. Like being an Eagles fan, if someone's like, I wouldn't say downgrading your team, but every time we're playing, he's just like, oh, and the Eagles have scored again, or this, that, and it's like,
Yeah,
come on, really? Like that's the energy. Oh, let me guess, because they're playing the Cowboys and Troy Aikman's standing right next to you. Like, come on,
probably,
Yeah, yeah.
probably, yeah, dude. It's yeah. If it could be for the Cowboys, he'd have no problem like cheering them up. He's such like a Cowboys cheerleader. It's ridiculous.
Right, right. So America's team 32 years ago.
Yeah, they haven't been, since the Jimmy Johnson days, they haven't done anything.
No. And you
Yeah,
know
I'm
what?
sorry.
His Hall of Fame thing was way overdue. Even his friends on TV said it. I'll say it. It took them way too long to put him in the Hall. The guy won 3 Super Bowls with the Cowboys. Like, what? You didn't put him in the Hall of Fame because of his stats or something like that? Like, come on,
Yeah,
really?
or because he was on Fox doing like the analyst role. Like, come on.
Right.
I agree.
That's like saying to Wayne Gretzky, "Hey, we're not going to put you in the Hall of Fame because you have way too many goals." Like, come on, right?
Yeah, like,
So,
yeah, yeah. And why would you hold that against somebody? Like, and it's
well,
gonna
then
be like, well,
no, go ahead.
yeah, like there's certain players like are way like they should have been in there already. Like, I think is Michael Strahan in the Hall of Fame? That makes me wonder now. Like,
Yeah, he's in.
yeah, yeah. I feel like they're like those are one of those ones that like should have happened a long, long time ago. Like, there was one recently who was in the NFL Hall of fuck this fame. Like there was just one player recently, or was it? Um, I don't even know. I forget where I was going with this, but I'm looking up an NFL Hall of Fame. Yeah, and audience, don't worry about me. I'm not like ill or anything. I just completely lost my train of thought. That's all it was.
I forget what year it was too. To get back to what we were talking about too, like if we're gonna say a final thing now that we're wrapping up this podcast, was there ever a moment that you still remember, either as a kid or now, like that your team just had that? But like for me, it was the 5 overtimes against the Penguins. That the game didn't go off till like 3 or 4 in the morning, and Keith Primo won. It was for 5 overtimes. I should look that up to watch that.
So I think for me, if I had to pick one, was it was the one that I was like old enough to really like embrace and remember was 2012, the Devils Rangers Stanley Cup in the Stanley Cup Eastern Conference Finals when Adam Henry got the game-winning goal, and just like watching the different angles of like the puck going in, the light going on, and then the fans just erupting. Like I don't know, but like even if it's like against our like teams and it's like someone's playing at home, like watching the fans rise up out of their seats when they score the goal, it's like it's like the city was just like under like like it's just been like liberated or something, even though it's just, hey, the hockey team scored a goal. Just watching that energy of the crowd, I think from the pandemic, while it was good to watch like hockey, I think that was, the one thing that I really enjoyed seeing again is just that emotion of, the fans just like, rising up in support of their team.
I will say this, the one thing that I do like about playoff hockey, and they should really change the rules, but I get it, like sometimes players can be tired, is they need to get rid of the shootout. Like I like that in regular season there's that 5 minute of what is it, 3-on-3 hockey. But
Yeah,
it's
that
like
was
but you know what? After those 5 minutes, they should just play another five. Because you're bound to get a quick, a winner, right? But again, at least you don't have to watch a freaking shootout. It's like an all-star game, like you're watching an
yeah,
all-star game.
literally a skills competition.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
like
like, hey,
what are we watching here, right?
I'm just relieved that like the playoffs don't come down to that.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the best thing about playoff hockey is you get the 5-on-5 until someone scores. You know.
Yeah, yeah. I think the original time that started was, it was the 2013-14 season. I think it happened with like I think the Devils and the Kings, and then I think Yager ended up getting us the winning goal there. But like I think it was that 3-on-3 hockey. It's like, wow, this is just a bunch of open ice breakaways. And then after that is when they started talking, and then that's like, okay, we're gonna start implementing this. And 3-on-3 is fun to watch. It's like I want to like now that I'm glad that that's now like the standard because shootouts are boring. They suck. Like
Yeah.
I mean, it sucks when if your team is like on the losing end of it, but
Yeah.
it's
Well,
just one of
listen.
the it's
I,
just
I
so much fun to watch. The open ice breakaways like this, just a skills competition is what the shootout is. I don't like it at all.
Listen. I know that they made the game a lot safer from what we're used to watching in like the '90s and early 2000s. I get it, and I like that. Like you got player safety, but the number one thing I hated was concussions because I feel like there were so many great like Chris Progner that they made him captain, and then the guy gets concussed, blasted in the face, with a hockey stick, you know
Hmm.
but here's the thing too. I also didn't agree back then when they didn't have to wear the face shield. It's like I get it. It's a rough sport. Guys don't want to wear it. This, that, and the other. But at the same time too, I think that's also why
Yeah, like
a lot of a lot of injuries happen.
why Ken Denico is like all his teeth are gone because I think he took a slap shot like right to the teeth, and his mouth just like exploded.
Yeah. Remember Evan LaPerriere getting blasted in the face in the 2010 playoffs against you guys? That was in New Jersey, by the way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard to watch those things now. It's like wear the visor. Like
Yeah.
that could be the difference between like. 'Cause I think I don't know if it's an urban legend or not, but I think years ago, like this girl got hit in the face from like a slap shot because there wasn't netting. It killed
Hmm.
her. That's
Yeah.
solid,
Yeah.
solid rubber flying at over 100 miles an hour. Like it's bound to do some kind of damage.
Hmm.
All right. Well, before we wrap up, let's think about what we're going to talk about for the next week's episode because um I don't know if we've gotten a lot of like comments or traction, but we talk about music or is there a wrestling topic we want? I mean, because we want to definitely, let our fans know, hey, this is what we got coming next week. So
For sure, for sure. And then we'll also talk about if you want we'll throw in some NFL on one of these podcasts. I know we got a lot of
absolutely.
NFL stories we got to tell.
Hmm. Yeah, that's what it. Oh, fucking Rangers won in the shootout. Well, we got a
Oh,
point out of it. Well, we got a point out of it, so it's not so bad.
a shootout.
Yeah, fucking skills competition.
Yeah. Which, by
Uh,
the way, just to go on record, the Flyers are the worst team in shootouts out of all the NHL teams.
uh, we
Yeah,
had a
worst.
we had a drought at one point. I think it was like 14 or 15 consecutive shootout losses. That like when we finally broke it against the Winnipeg Jets one year, it was like finally.
Yeah.
It felt like it would never end.
All right. Well, listen, definitely we need to get some people telling us what the next podcast should be about. I think we should definitely talk about some topics in the WWE and just wrestling and actually, you know what, just wrestling in general. Because you and I talk about AEW too.
Yeah, because I think we need to go on like a whole. We got to make our list again of like the like stuff in the Attitude Era, like different episodes dedicated to one wrestler because there's so much to talk about and it's like everything is just going to be a mishmash. So I feel like we should probably break it down so like we can really break it down. Sorry, I had to throw that. Sorry guys, I had to throw that in there.
Degeneration.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff to talk about and should be fun.
All
But
right. Well,
unfortunately, guys,
listen.
we gotta sign off because we got work in the morning.
That's right. That's right. All right. I'll see you. Peace. Thanks for
Peace, brother.
listening, everybody.
Until next time.